Hey everybody, and welcome to part 2 of how to record video game footage with live commentary. In this video, we'll be discussing how to set up all of your equipment, both hardware and software. And much like last video, there's a couple of things that I'd like to say before we get started. First off, this is one of many different ways to record your own video game footage with commentary. This just happens to be the method that I use and have been using since I started doing Let's Plays. 2, this method will only work for video game consoles that have the red, white, and yellow video adapters. And 3rd, I'd just like to remind everybody that this is the second part of this video tutorial. If you're just stumbling upon this video, I might suggest going to part 1, which tells you all of the equipment that you need. And with that being said, let us get started with part 2, the setup. In addition to the things that were mentioned in the first video, you will need a TV that supports yellow, white, and red video inputs, as well as a computer. Now, let's get all of our equipment out and put it out in front of us. The 3 main things that we're looking at are the yellow, white, and red adapters of your selected video game console. The next thing we're looking at is the RCA cable with the yellow, white, and red video adapters. And now, let us take a look at our dazzle. If you look at the connectors on the dazzle, you'll see a yellow, red, and white video adapters, as well as an S video, but in this tutorial we're not using the S video, just focus on the yellow, white, and red video adapters. One of the common things that you'll notice are the colors yellow, red, and white, and initially what we want to do is match these colors up. So what I want to do is I will show you how to hook up the yellow adapter only, and then we'll work our way to the red and white adapters. Okay, so let's look at our yellow adapter on the video game connector, the one that connects to your video game console. Hold up the yellow connector, and then get your AV cable and hold up your other yellow connector. What you want to do, get your AV splitters and plug your video game console into one end, and then your AV cable into the other end, so that it looks like this. Once you have completed this part, you'll want to take this same thing that has all of the yellow connectors plugged in and plug that directly into your dazzle, just like this. And the next thing we want to do is do the same thing with the red adapter. Let us take the red adapter from our video game console, the red adapter from our AV cable, and plug both of those ends into the next AV splitter so that it looks much like the yellow one did, and it will look just like this. Once you have completed this one, you'll plug it into your Dazzle DVD recorder or whatever capture card you have. You'll plug it into whatever capture card you have. And lastly, we're going to do the white. I'm going to take the video game connector, plug it into the AV splitter, and plug in the AV cable into the AV splitter. And then you will plug that into your Dazzle as well. Another thing worth noting, if you have the AV splitters with the white and the red female ends, you still want to use this exact same setup. So on screen, I will show you how each one of these will look if I was using a white and a red connector. If your splitters have white and red, this doesn't change this setup at all. So you want to do it exactly the way I showed you before. Alright, now that we got this part set up, you want to take the other end of your AV cable and plug these into your TV, where you would normally plug in your video game console. And much like setting up the Dazzle part, you want to be sure to match the colors correctly. You want to put your yellow connector into the yellow socket in your TV, you want to make sure to put your white connector in the white socket of your TV and the red connector in the red socket of your TV. And lastly, the USB port on your Dazzle. You want to be sure to plug that into the USB port on your computer. To avoid any problems with your computer and your Dazzle, I found that it is always helpful to plug your USB cable into the USB port where you installed your Dazzle. So if you plugged your Dazzle into a USB port located in the front of your computer, make sure that you always plug it in to that USB that you installed it into. And I also noticed that it helps if you have your Dazzle plugged in when you turn your computer on. In the past, I've had a couple of problems with my Dazzle not wanting to communicate with my computer. However, I found out that whenever I plug it in, whenever I plug the USB into my computer when it is turned off, and then turn the computer on, the problems that I had didn't happen nearly as often. It is also worth noting that I also have an older model of Dazzle. Maybe they fixed this problem in newer Dazzles, and maybe they didn't. But if you're having these problems, keep these tips in mind and you should be good to go. And that is it for the hardware setup. The next thing we want to do is move on to the software setup. When you first open your Pinnacle software, this will be a screen that you'll see right here. I always click on the Pinnacle Studio Quick Start. Once that loads up, you will be brought to a similar page right here. What you want to do is click on the Capture tab on the top left. Now you should see a similar page like this. If you do not see a page like this, and instead it looks like this with an error message saying that video device not found, simply click OK. Make sure that your Dazzle is plugged into the correct USB port. Now click Settings, go to Capture Source, and under Capture Devices, for video, you want to make sure that the Dazzle is selected. And for the audio, you want to make sure that the Dazzle is selected as well. And then click OK. Now, you should have a similar setup to this. Now click on Settings and go to Capture Source once again. If you want to record your videos in widescreen format, you simply come to Capture Source, where it says Capture Devices, go to the far right where it says Aspect Ratio, and you'll want to make it 16:9, and that will record your videos in widescreen format. 4:3 is the older TV ratio, but if you're wanting to record widescreen, you need to choose 16:9. And while we're here, let's go to the next tab that says Capture Format. Now, keep in mind that I have an older computer with not very high processing powers and functionalities. If you're in my same boat and you have an older computer, or a computer that isn't entirely that powerful, you can match your settings to mine and get the best performance for your computer. To do that, come to the Presets, AVI, and change the quality to good. This also works if you tried filming your videos in higher quality and it ended up being slow, choppy, or any other video or software errors. If you set it to these settings right here, you should be okay. This is the settings that I always record my videos on. And I'll give an on-screen link right here to my videos in case you haven't seen them before. Okay, the next thing we want to do is come over to the Video and Audio Preferences. It is the tab to the far right. In this tab, you want to make sure that your Enable Hardware Acceleration is checked. It is under Video Preview, and it will say Enable Hardware Acceleration. And that should be all the settings we need to set up here. So click OK. But before you actually get started recording, you always want to make sure that you have enough hard drive space before you record. This can easily be done by clearing out old programs, old software, old video footage, old anything you need to clear up some space on your computer. Personally, I like to record my video game footage onto a separate portable hard drive. And the way you would change these settings as to where you are saving is you will click on this little folder right here. You will get to select where on your computer you wish to save your video. Now, regardless of if you use a portable hard drive or not, you want to make sure that you save your video somewhere that you can easily get to. On my portable hard drive, I made a specific folder called Let's Play, and this is where I save all of my video game footage that I record. So once you have selected this directory, you'll click OK. Now, one of the great things about Pinnacle Studio is that if you have everything set up correctly, right here it'll tell you how much space you have, how much recording time you have, and that just about concludes everything in the Pinnacle setup that you'll need to do. Now next is Audacity. And we don't have to do anything here. Everything should be set up and ready to go right when you install it. And that concludes the second part of our tutorial, the setup. Just a reminder, if you have not seen part 1, the equipment, be sure to check that out. And thank you for watching part 2, the setup. And part 3 will be recording, and part 4 will be editing. And then you too will be able to make videos just like me. So I hope you found this video useful. Thank you very much to any comments, suggestions, or questions for this video series. But thank you for watching my video. I hope you found this useful, and I will see you in part 3 for the recording. Take it easy. Bye.